you were talking about Kamala Harris, and I think this might be a good time to talk about this because she might be the vice presidential nominee. What specifically did she do where there was someone who was innocent or someone who was wrongfully convicted?
Let me give a caveat.
Okay.
Caveat is that I know I'll catch shit from some people that say you have to do everything you can to make sure that Trump is not elected. And I will say that even she's an improvement as vice president if he does pick her. Anything's an improvement in my mind. So with that caveat, it would take this podcast and 4 more to go through. She fiercely fought wrongful convictions and was shamed by judges when she was district attorney in San Francisco. What was the case? The Gage case?
George Gage.
The George Gage case, where her prosecutors hid evidence and they tried to protect. Once she knew that there was evidence that was withheld from defense attorneys, once she should have known, in my opinion, that people were innocent, she tried to protect those convictions. Why? Because she wanted to continue winning.
Now, Senator Harris says she's proud of her record as a prosecutor and that she'll be a prosecutor president, but I'm deeply concerned about this record. There are too many examples to cite, but she put over 1,500 people in jail for marijuana violations and then laughed about it when she was asked if she ever smoked marijuana. She blocked evidence. She blocked evidence that would have freed an innocent man from death row until the courts forced her to do so. She kept people in prison beyond their sentences to use them as cheap labor for the state of California. And she fought to keep cash bail system in place that impacts poor people in the worst kind of way.
Thank you, Congresswoman.
So Kamala Harris spoke to the New York Times, and she has some thoughts on Israel for us. Look out.
Being a democracy and is one of our closest friends in that region, and that we should understand the shared values and priorities that we have as a democracy, and conduct foreign policy in a way that is consistent with understanding the alignment between the American people and the people of Israel.
Does Israel meet meet human rights standards to your personal satisfaction?
Well, talk in more detail. What specifically are you referring to?
As a country overall, in terms of how they...
Overall, yes.
She knew that answer was bullshit. Which is why she was like, "Oh, what are you referring to?" Oh, God, you know what he's referring to. He's talking about the illegal occupation. He's talking about the settlements. He's talking about the ruthless treatment of Palestinians.
Yeah, I think so. She did not do very well in the Democratic primaries, but that's for a variety of reasons. She didn't run a great campaign. But, she is not far to the left, despite what Republicans are going to try to say. There is a certain circuitous route to her position on issues. She was for Medicare for all before she was against it.
So here's what she used to say about Medicare for all.
The reason that I am supporting Medicare for all is
This week,
it's pretty basic. I believe that it's simply the moral and ethical thing to do. Healthcare should be a right for everyone in this country and not a privilege for the few. We need to have a system where we're being smart, where we're maximizing our ability to ensure that every American has access to health care. And we know the best way to deal with an epidemic is prevention first. Caring for a sick person once they get to the emergency room is too little, too late, and just too expensive. With Medicare for All as our goal, we will be able to ensure that Americans are having access to the health care that they need from the day they are born and for the rest of their lives. It's smart for us as taxpayers, and most importantly, it's just the right thing to do.
oh, that's great. She knows it's morally right. It's the right thing to do. It makes sense. It saves money. It's a moral imperative. She's 100%. It turns out, wait a minute, all that stuff was bullshit. Turns out Harris is shifting her position on Medicare for all. She's shifting her position. So what that means is when she says she supports something to gain favor with a certain constituency, then she gains that favor and then she immediately backpedals. Kamala Harris unveils Medicare for All plan that preserves private insurance. Preserves private insurance. Kamala Harris no longer supports Bernie Sanders' Medicare for All plan.
How do you go from being such a passionate opponent on such bedrock principles for you, and now you guys seem to be pals?
It was a debate.
Not everybody landed punches like you did, though.
It was a debate.
So you don't mean it?
It was a debate. That the whole reason, literally, it was a debate.
As I look at that, I can't believe that people can't see through that. That's the fakest laugh in American history. And I don't mean to pick on Kamala Harris, although I have no problem doing that. They're all the same way. It's just so annoying to listen to their crap. So in this case, yeah, Kamala Harris was right during the debate. It was one of the few great things that she did. So now she's trying to be Biden's VP, so she pretends that she did it for theatrics, which does that really make it any better? It was a debate. What does that mean?
Even Sister Harris, we have to be very honest about this. You know, when you're criminalizing parents whose children are truant, when you're opting for prisoners remaining incarcerated rather than release because you want to use them for cheap labor. This is when she's top cop. This is when she's prosecutor in California. You can't come along lately and sound progressive.
I saw this one speech that she was giving where she was talking about forcing children to attend school by holding their parents accountable, where she instituted a policy where if the kids missed school, the parents could be arrested.
So I decided I was going to start prosecuting parents for truancy. Well, this was a little controversial in San Francisco. And frankly, my staff went bananas. They were very concerned because we didn't know at the time whether I was going to have an opponent in my reelection race. But I said, look, I'm done. This is a serious issue, and I've got a little political capital, and I'm going to spend some of it. And this is what we did. We recognized that in that initiative, as a prosecutor and law enforcement, I have a huge stick. The school district has got a carrot. Let's work in tandem around our collective objective and goal, which is to get those kids in school. So, to that end, on my letterhead, now let me tell you something about my letterhead. When you're the DA of a major city in this country, usually the job comes with a badge. And there is often an artistic rendering of said badge on your stationery. So I sent a letter out on my letterhead to every parent in the school district. We sent it out to everyone. A friend of mine actually called me and he said, Kamala, my wife got the letter. She freaked out. She brought all the kids into the living room, held up the letter, said, if you don't go to school, Kamala's going to put you and me in jail.
Do you know about that?
No.
It was super
That is
disturbing.
insane.
It was super disturbing. And she was talking about how effective it was. And that, you know, they had cops show up at the door of the woman's house who was a single mom who had these children. The kids weren't going to school. Like, hey, no.
She was a cop. I mean, she's a top cop.
Exactly. But that authoritarian nonsense, like that way of thinking, you know why you do that? Because no one's ever done that to you.
Right.
Somebody ever knocked on your fucking door and said, hey, we're going to lock you up in jail because you're a 16-year-old boy when you have 3 kids.
Right.
Listen, if you're a single mom, anyone who's a single mom who has a boy knows when that fucking boy hits puberty, if they run with the wrong crowd, good fucking luck trying to control them. Good luck. It's hard. It's real hard. And if she's got a job or 2 jobs maybe because she's trying to put food on the table and keep the fucking lights on and you're going to arrest her because her kid doesn't show up at school, holy shit.
Can you imagine looking at all the problems in our country and being like, you know what? We need to arrest parents if their kids are truant.
Yeah, it's insane.